Jerry Taft, Realtor with Mountain Town Properties based in Invermere, BC, and let's talk about some real estate statistics for July and August, so summer of 2025. And a little bit of a story first is I've noticed basically this year so far is kind of a story of peaks and valleys. So very busy period from around middle of March or early into April until about the middle of May. And then things kind of dropped off, and there was really a slow period near the end of May and all of June. The actual sales data suggested a bunch of sales in June, but I think some of those were deals that were sort of started before. So new activity was quite slow during the month of June, and then things really picked up into July. And I was just scrambling from the middle of July to the middle of August, very, very busy. So here we are on September 2nd, and things have kind of slowed down a bit around the end of August. A lot of sales were posted, but those were deals that had been done before. And so it does feel a little bit quieter now, but I am curious to see if we might have another little ramp up again. And typically September can still be a pretty busy month. So looking at the numbers, I was so busy I didn't do an update in July. So this is sort of a combination of July and August numbers. July had 55 sales compared to 52 sales the year before. And this August had 53 sales compared to 51 from the year before. So very consistent. Year to date sales so far to the end of August, we're at 388 properties. That's up 9.6% from last year, which was 354. And in July, we saw a spike, 24%, 93 new listings versus 75 the year before. However, in August, we saw a drop of almost 13%. 68 new listings versus 78 in August of 2024. And that kind of backs up what I'm experiencing on the ground. The selection is thin. We are not seeing very many new listings right now. And if anything, we're actually seeing some of the older inventory, things that have been for sale for a while, selling, which kind of leads to another interesting stat, which is average days on market. So right now it's up and down. July, the average days on market was huge, 137. That's up 71% from the July of 2024. However, in August, we're at 104 days, and that's down 9% from August of 2024. So that number's kind of bouncing around a bit, but I do think a couple of factors there with some of the older inventory selling, that is bumping in some cases the average number, and in some cases we have sales that are subject to sale of a home or very complicated deals which take longer to get into a firm sort of sold state, and so that can also skew the numbers as well. But I expect this fall we'll actually start to see the days on market start to shrink. If we see some new listings and they sell quickly, that will bring down that average number. And so with that in mind, another stat to look at is active inventory. How many listings are there? And of course, this number includes building lots and fractional units and all kinds of product. So the active number is never actually what's available for real homes or for property that people necessarily want. But still, active inventory is cratered. At July, we were at 451 active listings, which is down 14% from the year before. And for August, we're down almost 19.5%. So we got 425 active listings at the end of August. And last year in August, it was 528. So that does show you that active inventory is really thin. And year to date, we're down almost 14% for the whole year. So people keep sometimes speculating that there's going to be crashes in prices, and I don't see it. When active inventory is dropping and there's less selection, buyer demand is still strong. That does not suggest a decrease in prices at all. Another really interesting stat to kind of look at and consider is around list price ratio. So what percentage of the selling price to list price. And so this year and even last year, we're pretty much rock steady at 94%. And so that number is not really moving either. So if we were seeing a declining kind of buyer's market where prices were going down, then you might see that number start to grow and sort of be at 90% or less of list price to sale price. But 94% is a pretty standard sort of normal number. Now, sometimes that does take into account listings that have already had price reductions before they sell. Prediction for the fall, I think we're going to see steady activity in September, October. It could be a good time to consider selling if you're thinking about selling. It could also be a good time to look at buying. And then I think we'll see quite a slowdown in October. After October into November and December is typically quite a slow time. So if you have any questions or you're interested in buying or selling, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you very much.